Alright, and we are live. Welcome guys, thank you for checking out the video. So in today's video, as you can tell from the title, we are taking apart and scrapping a gaming desktop computer. So let me go ahead and get that and then we'll start. Alright. So here it is. Sorry, we're all the way zoomed in. This is currently the placement of the camera, but I'll do my best to show you the critical parts so you get an understanding of why something like this. Sorry for all the noise. My business is actually currently open while I'm doing this. So this was dropped off at my recycling center, and what I do with pieces like this is I do not sell them per pound because they can be salvaged. They can be reused for its individual pieces, as I'm going to show you right now. Okay. So I have not checked the specific specs of this system. This is actually something that I had put on the side, and I was waiting to do this in live stream. So you will be getting the exact information I'll be getting at the same moment. I have no idea what processor this is, how much RAM or whatever. So we're gonna go ahead. First thing we're gonna do, we're gonna take out the graphics card. Okay, we unplug the power. Let's see, it's a little bit of a tighter spot over here. We can push this down. There you go. Okay. Sometimes they say exactly what model it is. This one, it doesn't. So we'll go ahead and we'll check it later once everything is off the table. But we're going to go ahead and put that on the side. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and plug a power source just to make sure it turns on and all that, so that we have, like, it's like a form of a preliminary test, just so that we know certain pieces function before we take it apart. I'm going to grab the power cable and we can go ahead and do that. Okay, let's see, where is the power button? Over here. There you go. Okay, you can tell the fans are spinning. The power supply is spinning. The power supply is working. Okay, it just turned off. Turned back on. Let's see if it stays on this time. Sometimes some of the systems, they do that. If they haven't been powered on in a while, they will kind of like cycle power through it. I don't know if that's the correct terminology, but they'll go ahead and they'll turn on, turn off, and then turn on again. But the second time around, they'll stay on. So I'm not sure if you can tell from, you probably can't, it's not as much in focus, but this is an Asus P8 P67WS Revolution. So once again, at the end, once I take everything out, we'll go ahead and check online what these items go for, their value and whatnot. So it seems to be functioning fine. So now we have, yeah, it's on. No beeping sound, nothing. The memory. Yep, everything looks good. I will be right Okay, sorry about that. So while I'm doing this video right now, my business is currently open. So I was just serving one of the customers. Anyway, everything has checked out. That button over here that I was pressing, that's for the memory check. Everything looks good. So we are going to go ahead and take the motherboard out, take the CPU, take the oh my god, take the power supply out. Sorry, it's the end of the day. And the case, which is steel, will be recycled as such for its bare material. So let's go ahead and turn it off and continue with doing that. Just after we unplug it, I always hold the power button to cycle power through it as well, just like one last time. Okay. So right now what we're doing is we are taking out all the plugs connecting to the board. That's interesting. This was where all the pins are for the power, and like the LEDs, the reset button, USBs. Okay. Everything else looks good. Perfect. So we'll go ahead, use the Phillips, and start taking it apart. So for those of you that are new to the channel, I would highly encourage you to check out my other videos. I do e-waste recycling. That's my business. And I refurbish as well as scrap out, meaning I take apart computers that come by to my recycling center in an attempt to salvage the greatest amount of parts possible. You know, for me, I could be doing the bare minimum at my job, which would be just to ship everything per pound, whether it is new, old, working, not working, and whatever happens. I wouldn't care. I would just get paid. But I don't view it that way. Obviously, from a financial standpoint, I'll be making more money salvaging the valuable pieces, but I do not pick and choose which valuable pieces and I salvage, which valuable pieces, oh my god, I can't even speak. It's so hot over here. Which valuable pieces I do not. I do it across the board. I salvage whatever I can, and in doing so, I save parts that can be reused again. You know, by doing this, you can reuse old parts, and those old parts can be put in the place of somebody getting a new computer, right? Instead of somebody buying a new computer, I could be reselling this power supply over here, and this can make their old computer function again. So therefore, less people will be buying new computers. Obviously, if there are certain presumptions, like a system requires a certain amount of memory or CPU power, that's different. But if somebody has a functioning computer that otherwise, aside from like one broken piece, is still good, I would be helping them, and we would be green in that sense, because we would be harvesting less material from the earth. The same material that was already harvested to make these items would be reused. So there are multiple benefits to me doing what I'm doing, aside from just the financial standpoint. Okay, this is still being held, and there is one screw left probably. So let me see if we can find that. Let's get the wire out of the way. That's weird. Everything is already out. So most probably it's just the heatsink that's holding it in. So we will go ahead, if we have room, Let's take out the RAM first. Looks like the last one's stuck. So this is a DDR3, 8 gigabytes at 4, so I think these are 2 gigabyte sticks. So all 4 make up 8. Let me get the last one. Okay. Perfect. Now, there you go. Never mind, they just need to be nudged a little bit. Okay. Board is out. Let's put that on the side. Now, we will go ahead and take out the power supply, but I'm also going to take the I/O shield. This way someone can use it again. Okay, so the power supply on this, the wires go underneath. So we're going to have to open up the other side. So now we just take the wires back to their original location. You know, I am on purpose as gentle as possible with this because I know these parts, they can be reused, especially power supplies such as this. It is a higher watt power supply, something like 750 or more. So I am very cautious the way. Let's see. It's not going to come out. There you go. Perfect. I'm cautious the way I take things apart. Last thing I need is for a working piece to be broken by my own hand. Okay, these are SATA cables. Let me cut that zip tie. Okay. That's for the power supply. I can give you more of a view. Right now I am just tucking the wires back to where they were. These are all the wires that connect to the top I/O controls, meaning the power, the reset, and the USB ports up there. So that would be all of these wires. These also control the board. That little piece that I had taken out, I said was interesting. All these wires connect to that piece. So that's for the power and all that. Let's see if these are connected to something underneath. We're going to go ahead and flip that around to take those apart. But in the meantime, okay, go ahead, keep that like this. So right now, what I'll be doing is I'm going to go ahead and unscrew the power supply. So let's check what wattage this power supply is while we're at it. This is 750 watt. So this can be reused. Obviously, that has to be tested to make sure that it won't malfunction. But it can be tested. It can be reused nonetheless. So this is a nice power supply. It's a modular power supply. And finally, these remaining pieces that connect to the top I/O, we'll go ahead and unplug. Worst case scenario, we'll just cut those wires. Okay. Trying to figure out this last I/O would be the easiest way to take it out. You know what? Just unplugging it. Okay. This way we have some of these wires. Some of the systems are a little bit trickier because they have wires tucked in all around, so it has to be carefully undone. Otherwise, just by pulling the wire, you're very susceptible to cutting yourself. So right now what I'm doing is I'm trying to take apart these wires. So okay, I just took out the front, the face. Wow, this thing is that is crazy. The top doesn't want to come off. So let's see if we can carefully take it apart. You know what? I'm just gonna cut the wires. It's a waste of time doing this. Just slowly taking apart the top. I'm just gonna cut the wires from both ends. Will come out. So I get my wire cutter. I'll show you. My apologies that you guys can't see what I'm doing. There's just the tower's pretty large and there isn't enough room to show you. These should theoretically come out. Wow. Doesn't want to come out. Okay. And there it is. The wires have been separated. The case is left. We'll go ahead and cut these wires. And cut the wires for the fan in the front. That fan. And there you have it. all steel case. That's all that's left, aside from the plastic on the top and the plastic on the front. So we'll go ahead and put that on the side. And what we have left is the wires we just got. SATA cables, right? More wires. Graphics card. The RAM. That's 4 2-gigabyte pieces, totaling 8 gigabytes DDR3. Another wire. We have the screws. These screws are kept. I use them on other systems. And we have our motherboard. And finally, we have the power supply. Put it in a nice way. So there you have it. That is how I take apart a gaming desktop. These are the parts that would be salvaged. Of course, in this system, there wasn't a hard drive. If there was a hard drive, I would go ahead and format it because it does have customer information on it. Or if the customer requested, I would destroy it. So, but in this specific situation, this is what has been salvaged. Now we can go ahead and check specifics as to what type of processor is inside and what type of graphics card this is. So let me clean this up, and then we can go ahead and do that. Okay, so let's get these wires out of here. Sorry for the long pause, guys. It's just my business is open while I'm doing this. So if I walk away for a little bit, it is because a customer walked in and I need to service them. So we'll go ahead and start looking up what these pieces are. So first off, what we will do is we'll go ahead and check out what the graphics card is. Okay, and then we just try one by one each one of the numbers that are on the back. Let's do sometimes it doesn't say directly what it is. That's why I end up just kind of picking random ones. Okay, that wasn't it. Okay, where do we have a good model number? That's crazy. Oh, okay. There you go. It was right here. So I was looking on the back side at these, but it's right here. Perfect. So each one is different. All these graphics cards, they don't have the spot. They don't have their model numbers all in the same location. Typically, it's all on the back side, but in this situation, it wasn't. So we'll go ahead and check that out. it's interesting. It doesn't say what it is. It says Gigabyte GV N4600C, but what model is it? Unless that is the model. Maybe it's an older model. Let's see. GV N4600C. Oh, it's N460 OC. N460 OC. So this is a GTX 460. That makes perfect sense. It's a 1 GB card. So if we just type that on eBay, let's look for the exact Type 2. So the reason why I do this is because I want to show you guys the value of these items. So it's looking like this piece goes for anywhere from $30 to $40, surprisingly, even though it's an older card. It does go for that much. Question is, does it sell? Okay, see, the last time it sold, September 30th, was for $20. So it's safer to say that these would go for 20 to 30. You know, you don't want to highball it, take a picture of it, and then due to putting a higher price, you end up sitting there with an item that doesn't sell for 6-7 months. So this we would put at around $20 to $30, right? So we'll put that on the side. The RAM we could sell with this as a complete piece, but if we really want to just separate it to get an idea of what it goes for, we can look that up as well. So these are 4 sticks of 2 GB each, totaling 8 GB DDR3, and it's 1066. I'm sorry, it's 1333 megahertz. So let's see what it goes for. And this is a G.Skill brand. Okay, CL9Q. CL9Q. Never mind. I stand corrected. These are 8 GB sticks. So this just goes to show you guys you don't always know everything. But in this case, in this specific situation, this is 32 GB of RAM, 8 GB each. Right? If we look at the market value of this, last it sold on September 1st, this exact setup, exact brand, exact configuration, $150. That's pre-owned. $100 in August. So just to lowball it, we'll say 75 to 100. I'd rather be as conservative as possible. So we have 20 to 30, 75 to 100 over here. Now we'll go ahead, we'll check out the board, and then we'll check out the processor and see what we're working with. So here, as I said before, we have an Asus P8 P67WS. Asus P8 P6WS. P67WS. P67WS. Let's see. So this board, okay, some of them have configurations with processors, some of them do not, but the board by itself ranges from $80 to $100. That's pre-owned, just the board. So we have 20 to 30, 75 to 100, 80 to 100 for the board. And now the last piece, and I'm not counting the Cooler Master heatsink, right? Last piece would be the CPU. So let's go ahead and unscrew. Well, first let's take off the fan so that we can look at the bracket. Okay, let's put that on the side. Okay, the whole thing is spinning. It must have been put on. What I mean by the whole thing is spinning, this right here, right? This piece. You'll see right now what I'm talking about. Instead of just unscrewing, detaching from each other, the whole thing is spinning. So let me see if I have a wrench here. I can hold the bottom while unscrewing the top. Okay, so this is terrible wrench. It's not a wrench at all, it's just a plier. But for now, since I can't find the wrench, okay, it worked. Perfect. Same problem here. Okay, two on this side. Oh man, the worst location. This one is also spinning. Okay, this one has two heat sinks, one here, and somehow I have to hold this. So let's see if I can angle it in a way where I can do it. Hopefully that works. Okay. Seems like it's rusted a little bit. Well, clearly from the sounds it's not a little bit, but it is rusted. So, okay. All right, and then the last one. Probably there was a lot of humidity in the room, wherever this computer was, so it caused the system to get some humidity as well. So now we'll go ahead and grab a napkin, clear it up a little bit, just so we see what processor is here. And by napkin, of course, I mean toilet paper. Hey, Shark Scrapper, how are you? Yeah, it's rusted. Let me bring it closer. But before I get into that, just want to let you know. So this, hopefully, if the camera picks it up, I'm trying to get used to this camera. This is an i7 2600K. Hopefully, the camera picks it up. Nope, it's not going to. Anyway, so this is a second gen i7. And also, why it was screeching, it's rusted at one of the joints. It picked it up a little bit, picked up the finger. Let's see. Sorry, guys. Thank you for your patience. Well, second gen i7, that one should be pretty good. Let's see what that goes for. So this processor ranges from 70 to 100. So I don't want to get too deep into cleaning this right now, because they this is what happens when they put too much compound between the CPU. It just gets everywhere. Typically they just put like a little amount, and once the heatsink presses over it, it disperses perfectly, because there's a very minute gap, if any. So we have a board that goes for 75 to 100, right? We have a CPU that goes from 75 to 100. We have RAM that goes from 80 to 100. We can say 75 to 100 as well, right? And then we have a graphics card that goes from $20 to $30. So, and I haven't checked the power supply. I can go ahead and check that really quickly. And obviously I have not checked the heatsink. I would not be reselling this because it does have rust on the threads, but we will be salvaging the copper from the heatsink. So let me go ahead and grab the power supply. We can grab the value from that, and then we'll get a total tally of what this whole system is worth. So this was the power supply. So it is a 750 watt XFX Black Edition. So let's check that. So this power supply, pre-owned, goes for around $35. And this is a modular power supply. What that means is there are ports in the back, just like how this is. You can add more wires to it if you have more items that need power within the computer. And there it is. Once again, 20 to 30, 75 to 100, as well as for the board, separate from the CPU, which is also 75 to 100. So if we just take the lower amounts of all of them, so we have 20, 75, that's 95. 275s over here, that's 150. So that's 150 plus 95. So that's 245. And hey, Scrapping Irish. And that's it. So we have pretty decent amount over here. There are people that often come by to my spot, and they want to buy these items wholesale. So in situations like that, I kind of have to make the margin call. The thing is, do I sell items at the retail value, but I may wait a few weeks, a few months, even a year for some of these items to sell? For sure the graphics card would take that long. The processor, that would sell, if I sold it at the lowest value, it would sell within a week. But more often than not, what I do is I just end up selling these wholesale, and what I term as wholesale is half of retail. And retail is the prices I get off of eBay. So I sell these to local shops. So in this 245 over here, I would be selling this to one of the local shops for $120 to $140, all these individual pieces. So that's that. Hope you guys enjoyed it. This was typically what I do daily. So once items like this have been taken apart, I go ahead and I take pictures. Obviously, I clean them up. I take out certain pieces that are rusted or whatever in this specific situation. And yeah, absolutely, it is. It's in that specific situation. You know, at first when I opened up the business, I was really into getting the most value out of everything, and it's only because it didn't come in as much as far as the volume, you know. So the few items I had were very valuable. I did not test the graphics card yet. So the graphics card, what I end up doing for the motherboard, I have my separate piece. This is a mount I use So this was cut out from um, a computer tower, right? It's cut out from the back because it already has the perfect bracket for most type of motherboards. And what I end up doing is, let's say in this specific situation, the graphics card that the power supply that I took out, I know it functions. I would go ahead and connect this board onto here, screw it in with these screws, and then I would go ahead and test it out. So I have not tested out, to answer your question, the graphics card just yet, but I will be doing that in another video. But in this specific situation, even if I were to take this out just for parts, this is $20. So it would bring down the value of the entire what was harvested from 245 to 225. So, but the power supply does work. Most of the items are physically in good working order. So this is the preliminary test. After this, I would go ahead and do another test on that bracket and everything, testing out different CPUs, making sure that the prongs inside have not been compromised. I even have to check to see if the compound hasn't passed on the other side of the CPU. And it's not just by putting the heatsink over it and then it goes through. Sometimes people, they go ahead, I'm sure you guys have come across situations like this, people, they go ahead and they replace CPUs, and they're not as careful. And what that means is that because it's very sticky, it's very easy to get this compound on your fingers, they handle the processor and then they'll put another one in, but in doing so they will basically get compound on the pins. So, and obviously I'm not going to sit there and clean compound off of 150, 200 pins. And just to show you guys already know, I'm not going to clean compound off of this many pins. So, why I have experience in that is that I had sold many boards in the past on eBay with Pentium or Core 2 Duo processors just as fillers so that the pins do not get messed up in shipping. And I know that more often than not, the customer is going to go ahead and replace the CPU. And what happens is that they go ahead and they bend some of these pins, right? And by doing so, I have to sit there one by one with like a toothpick type metal tool and try to bend them into place. By the end of it, I'm working on a board, for example, that's worth $30, $40, and I've spent like an hour and a half just trying to bend the pins in. It really does not make sense, you know? So, exactly. Exactly. But you know, I do enjoy what I do. It's I do enjoy like salvaging these items and bringing them back to life so that somebody can use them. So in this situation, you know, even me personally at home, I do have an iMac. That's what I use for editing the videos. That's what I end up using for my Zoom classes. And even though it's a very good design, the iMac, everything is enclosed, it does have problems with heat, and if there's a problem with the hard drive, the thinner iMacs, the screen is glued onto the metal. So it's a process to swap it, and sometimes I think to myself, you know what, I have so many parts in here. For example, the 2nd gen i7, all because of 2nd gen i7, and right now there's 11th gen or 10th gen, I haven't checked. It doesn't mean that this is bad. This is more than capable with a solid state, and I don't even need 32 gigabytes of RAM. I could put half of this, and with a solid state, it's a very well functioning computer. Obviously, I would spend probably half the amount as far as the budget is concerned on a decent graphics card. Obviously not something like this. It would be at the minimum like a GTX 1060 or so. That way, while editing the videos, I wouldn't really have a problem with some of these programs. But that's another story in itself. So here it is. As you guys can see, this is what I do with these gaming computers. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you, Shark Scrapper and Scrapping Irish. I really appreciate you guys checking out my live stream. It is greatly appreciated. I'm getting a hang of it slowly. And yeah, that'll be it for today. Thank you guys once again. I think I'm going to end it right here. And let's see, I'll probably do a stream tomorrow. I'll see you guys.